Well, I think the thing is, people have to have the following question answered. Why should I follow you? And people will follow somebody who sets a direction for them, who helps them realize that following that direction would be good, not only for their business, but for themselves personally, who models themselves what they're asking for from others, and who then gives them a game plan to deliver it. Absent that, you can get compliance, but you won't get commitment. See, it's a very interesting thing. You cannot visually tell the difference between compliance and commitment. If I put a gun to your head, I could get your compliance. But I could never get your commitment, because that's an internal decision, and it only shows up over time. In the initial actions, a compliant person who's following orders, doing what they're afraid of not doing, looks exactly the same as a committed person. But over time, you begin to see the differences. The committed person thinks better. The committed person is passionate. The committed person goes the extra mile. The committed person finds other ways. And therefore, the task of leadership is to enroll commitment. Why? Because the test of leadership is the value you add to the assets you've been given. The assets you're given, whether it's a whole company, whether it's a product, whether it's a unit, whether it's a customer base, is just potential value until somebody energizes it and makes it real. And leadership is the act of transforming potential into reality. Now, daunting enough, but to do it without people's commitment is crazy. I mean, the way you do that is you first of all have to decide that you personally will walk the path that you're asking others. It's always follow me. It's not like run there and I'll sit back here. So leaders don't have to be the only person in the charge. They don't even have to lead the charge, but they have to be a part of the charge. I think, secondly, they have to build a winning leadership team around them. People who are excited by the same kinds of things, and work to build the relationships on that team so the team becomes a net multiplier for the talent in the team, rather than nullifying and shutting down the talent. You don't want to become a team where you're less rather than more than the sum of your parts. Then, having gotten that vision articulated, you must break it down into some what I call must-win battles. And those must-win battles must be tangible, they must be vision-delivering, and they must serve the market and the customer, and they have to answer the question, how are we going to make money? How are we going to win doing this? And that's very, very important. And as a leader, then you have to have the humility and the openness to really get constant feedback. Because the world will line up to tell you how to deliver your vision if you are a pleasure to coach. If you're a pleasure to coach, your customers will tell you how to serve them better. Your suppliers will tell you. The market will tell you. Your people will tell you. But if you're resentful, defensive, retaliatory, you shoot the messenger, then you'll go straight into oblivion, even though everybody around you knew exactly how to help both you and themselves. The waste of leaders who don't listen, and of visions that are invested in but never fulfilled because commitment isn't enrolled, is horrific. We finally get people's commitment by giving them a real vision led by a real person with a real plan for their real success. You give them a stake, you give them a voice, and you give them a responsibility. It's a talent to some extent, but just like I can learn to play tennis. I may not become Federer, but I can learn to play tennis, and I can learn to play competent tennis. And there's no reason I can't serve a tennis ball so it stays in, except that I may not work hard enough. Or when I learn to ski, I will probably never become an Olympic skier, but I enjoy skiing, and I can ski most slopes that I come across, some faster than others. So there are some who might be, say, a Mozart or a Picasso of leadership. It comes naturally to them. But for most of us, it's a skill we can develop and strengthen to varying degrees, but there should be no excuse in leadership terms for not being able to serve a ball, lob a ball, keep the ball in play, and play the game well enough and long enough for it to be an exciting experience for everybody.